What if you lost everything you have? What if you lost your health, your wealth, your family, your friends, your freedom, your happiness? How would you feel? How would you cope? How would you live? These are not pleasant questions to ask, nor easy ones to answer. They may even seem absurd or cruel to some. Why would anyone want to imagine such terrible scenarios? What good could possibly come from such a negative exercise? The answer is a lot of good. In fact, this exercise is one of the most powerful and beneficial practices of Stoicism, the ancient philosophy of life that teaches us how to live well in a world that is often chaotic, unpredictable, and full of suffering. This exercise is called negative visualization, and it is a method of meditative praxis or ascesis by visualization of the worst-case scenarios. Negative visualization is not a form of pessimism or masochism, but a form of realism and wisdom. It is not a way of inducing fear or despair, but a way of fostering gratitude and resilience. It is not a way of escaping or avoiding reality, but a way of embracing and confronting reality. The Stoics used negative visualization to train themselves to be prepared for and cope with any possible misfortune that could befall them, and to appreciate and enjoy what they already had. They believed that by imagining the loss of what they valued, they would reduce their attachment and dependence on external things, and increase their appreciation and gratitude for them. They also believed that by imagining the worst-case scenarios, they would reduce their fear and anxiety of them, and increase their courage and confidence to face them. Negative visualization is based on two fundamental principles of Stoicism: the dichotomy of control and the nature of good and evil. The dichotomy of control states that there are two kinds of things in the world: those that are in our control and those that are not. The only things that are in our control are our own thoughts, feelings, and actions. Everything else, such as our health, wealth, reputation, relationships, and events, are not in our control. They are subject to change, decay, and loss, and they depend on factors beyond our power. The nature of good and evil states that the only thing that is truly good for us is virtue, or excellence of character, and the only thing that is truly bad for us is vice, or moral corruption. Everything else, such as health, wealth, pleasure, and pain, are indifferent, or neither good nor bad in themselves. They are only good or bad depending on how we use them and how we relate to them. By applying these principles, the Stoics realized that most of the things that we fear or desire are not in our control and not truly good or bad for us. They also realized that most of the things that we take for granted or neglect are in our control and truly good or bad for us. They realized that we often waste our time and energy on pursuing or avoiding things that are outside our control, and that we often neglect or misuse the things that are within our control. They realized that we often suffer not from the things themselves, but from our judgments and opinions about them. Negative visualization helps us to correct these errors of judgment and to align our will with the nature of things. It helps us to detach ourselves from the things that are not in our control and to focus on the things that are in our control. It helps us to value the things that are truly good for us and to avoid the things that are truly bad for us. It helps us to live in harmony with ourselves, with others, and with the world. How to practice negative visualization? To practice negative visualization, we need to set aside some time and space to contemplate the possible loss of the things that we value. We need to imagine, in vivid detail, how we would feel and react if we lost our health, our wealth, our family, our friends, our freedom, our happiness. We need to imagine the worst-case scenarios and how we would cope with them. We can do this exercise daily, weekly, or whenever we feel the need. We can do it in the morning to prepare ourselves for the day ahead, or in the evening to reflect on the day that passed. We can do it for a few minutes or for as long as we want. We can do it alone or with someone we trust. The key is to do it sincerely and realistically, without exaggerating or minimizing the potential losses. We need to be honest and objective, without being emotional or irrational. We need to be calm and composed, without being cold or indifferent. The benefits of negative visualization. Negative visualization has many benefits for our well-being and happiness. Here are some of them. It fosters gratitude. By imagining the loss of what we have, we realize how lucky and blessed we are to have it. We appreciate the value and the beauty of the things that we often take for granted or ignore. We feel a sense of wonder and awe for the gifts of life. We express our thanks and praise to the source of all good things, whether it is God, nature, or fate. It fosters resilience. By imagining the worst-case scenarios, we prepare ourselves for the inevitable challenges and difficulties that life brings. We develop a sense of perspective and proportion, and we avoid being surprised or overwhelmed by misfortune. We cultivate a sense of courage and confidence, and we learn to cope with adversity. We grow stronger and wiser from our experiences, and we overcome our fears and anxieties. It fosters contentment. By imagining the loss of what we desire, we reduce our attachment and dependence on external things. We realize that we do not need them to be happy, and that they are not truly good or bad for us. We free ourselves from the tyranny of pleasure and pain, and we avoid being enslaved by our passions and appetites. We cultivate a sense of moderation and balance, and we learn to be satisfied with what we have. It fosters virtue. By imagining the loss of what we value, we remind ourselves of what is truly important and meaningful in life. We realize that the only thing that is in our control and truly good for us is virtue, or excellence of character. We focus on developing and practicing the 4 cardinal virtues of Stoicism: wisdom, courage, temperance, and justice. We live according to our nature and reason, and we act with goodness and justice. Negative visualization is a powerful and beneficial practice of Stoicism, the ancient philosophy of life that teaches us how to live well in a world that is often chaotic, unpredictable, and full of suffering. It is a method of meditative praxis or ascesis by visualization of the worst-case scenarios. Negative visualization helps us to train ourselves to be prepared for and cope with any possible misfortune that could befall us, and to appreciate and enjoy what we already have. It helps us to detach ourselves from the things that are not in our control, and to focus on the things that are in our control. It helps us to value the things that are truly good for us, and to avoid the things that are truly bad for us. It helps us to live in harmony with ourselves, with others, and with the world. Negative visualization is not a form of pessimism or masochism, but a form of realism and wisdom. It is not a way of inducing fear or despair, but a way of fostering gratitude and resilience. It is not a way of escaping or avoiding reality, but a way of embracing and confronting reality. Negative visualization is a way of living with purpose and happiness, not with futility and sadness.